Hey everybody, what is going on? Hexlex here. Got another Master Duel video for you. So we're coming back to pure Snake Eye. A little reluctantly. I think the most reason that or the biggest reason I'm reluctant to come back to this deck is, you know, the more I play with pure Snake Eye, the more I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't you just play Fire King Snake Eye? So, now, one thing that I've seen some people say is that, oh yeah, Fire King Snake Eye is better than Pure because you have the extra engine. It's spicier, but it's effectively the same deck. But I don't think any of those statements are true. Now, this is something that I've talked about quite a bit, which I feel like I'm saying a lot lately, probably because I'm recording a lot of these videos in the same day. Almost every video that went out this week, actually. But one thing in particular that I think is a very important thing to note is, as always as ever, Snake Eye Ash being at 1. With this card and Wanted, but mostly Ash being at 1. Pure Snake Eye is quite difficult to play, actually, especially on a turn that is not 1 or 2. Like, I think the reason this hit hurts isn't even for consistency reasons, although that is also very notable. Like, how much this deck breaks now, holy, it's very noticeable. But, yeah, just not having that follow-up play. Like, I've said it a million times, I'll say it again, though. Any turn that is not 1 or 2, this deck is going to struggle. Definitely a lot more than it did before, and even a lot more than just other decks in the format in general. I think Pure Snake Eye, it's very disingenuous to call Pure and Fire King basically the same thing, because they also do very different combo lines, and they play very differently. The end board is fairly similar, sure, but the route of getting there, I think, is quite different. And again, in Pure Snake Eye, this is a deck where, like, you're struggling to get up to 40 cards because, like, you just don't have that many quality cards to play that you really want to proactively use in your strategy, right? I've seen people suggest stuff like, where art thou? But, you know, I don't think this card is particularly good. It's not really going to help you get your plays going because you have to control a level 1 monster already to use it. Small World, I think, is a slightly better suggestion because, you know, you have the ability to find your plays without having to commit to the board first, right? But a tech card that I've been trying out, and actually been liking quite a bit, is Lullaby of Obedience. So, this is not an original idea that I had. I've definitely seen multiple people playing this card in Snake Eye as well. But actually, before I get into that, I do want to talk about one other possible alternative that I've seen people play, and I actually think it's quite good, and that is Chicken Game. I would try this card out. I just don't want to craft 3 since I don't already own it. I don't want to craft 3 just to try in a deck like Pure Snake Eye that I really don't have that much optimism for. But it makes sense why people are playing places of this in Pure Snake Eye now. It's basically Upstart Goblin, so deck thinning to get you to all your other stuff. But because this is a field spell, you can send it with stuff like, you know, Ash or Oak or Diabell, and it'll help you advance your board state in that regard. So, Chicken Game, if I already owned a playset, I would definitely be jamming that. But a card I already owned, as you can see more of a playset of, is Lullaby of Obedience. So, for those not familiar with the card, it's on screen right now. I can also read it out loud. Pay 2,000 life points to declare one monster card name. Your opponent looks at their deck and reveals one of the declared monsters, if there is any, and chooses one of these effects. The declared monster is added to the hand of the player who activated this card. The player who activated this card special summons the declared monster to their field in attack position, ignoring summoning conditions. So, what does this deck do? What are you actually trying to call from your opponent's deck? Well, one thing that is kind of funny that you can do is, like, you can sometimes just straight up call Snake Eye's Poplar. And I would call Poplar and not Ash just because of, like, Rescue Ace and stuff, but, like, this card is in enough of the meta decks that, like, even blind on turn 1, you could Lullaby of Obedience and just call Poplar, and it's not horrible odds for your opponent to have it in their deck. But that is not the main reason I'm looking to play this card. That's just a kind of funny thing you can do while attacking this card in Snake Eye. Two main things I'm really looking to do with Lullaby of Obedience, right? The first one is I'm actually looking to call Ash Blossom a lot of the time. Especially if, like, let's say I open plays, like, let's say I already opened Bonfire, and even Diabell as well. Let's be a little generous. Let's say I open both of those, and also Lullaby of Obedience. One thing I would be likely to do in that situation is immediately, before I make any other play, start off by a Lullaby of Obedience and call Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring, right? Now, if they choose to add it to my hand, that's fine, because then if they have a Maxi, I can use it against that. But you might think like, oh, well, won't your opponent just summon it to your field? Yes, and that's actually not bad at all for multiple reasons. If they summon their Ash Blossom to our field and we have Diabell, we could potentially make a Baron de Fleur and have the Omni Negate up before they do any of their, like, disruption, right? At the very beginning of our combo line, we can potentially do that. But also, them putting Ash Blossom on our field and us using it as a material then puts their Ash in their graveyard, which can then be revived with Hita for more follow-up. So, as we all know, you know, one of the reasons it can be kind of dubious to even activate Ash a lot of the time is because of Snake Eye or other fire decks using Hita to revive the Ash Blossom. So, again, with the Lullaby of Obedience, we can get it to our field, use it as a material, put it in their graveyard, and then just use it as a material again. You could even, like, if you opened, like, let's say you open a random hand trap like Effect Veiler and Lullaby of Obedience and, like, I don't know, Imperm, Triple Attack, Call By, something like that, right? You could, in theory, Lullaby of Obedience, call Ash Blossom, let's assume they summon it to your field, because they probably will most of the time. Then you normal summon Effect Veiler, link your Veiler and Ash for Hita, Hita take their Ash back, and then you could make Promethean Princess, or just link Climb in general, like... Actually, in that situation, you probably want to link Climb to Selene, and then you could Selene back your Veiler for a turn 1 Apo. If it was like your own Ash Blossom plus Lullaby, you could normal summon Ash, Lullaby, or you could Lullaby for their Ash, normal summon Ash, Hita for their Ash, for Promethean Princess for your Ash, for Summon Great Raging Phoenix. So, Lullaby of Obedience does open up plays in some situations where you might not have them if you do end up totally bricking, right? Another really funny situation where you can Lullaby, let's say, and actually we're going to see an example of this in an upcoming replay, let's say you're in a situation where you have plays and you already have Ash Blossom in hand. Well, what you can do is you can combo, you can do your combo line up until the point where you summon Promethean Princess, then activate Lullaby of Obedience and call Max C. Because you are fire locked by Promethean Princess and are not able to special summon non-fire monsters, your opponent has no choice but to add the Max C to your hand. You can also apply that with other hand traps if you want to get more adventurous, maybe Veiler or Nib, but of course everyone's on Max C, so that's going to be a pretty easy call, right? So this card, I think, is actually a lot better than it might even initially seem. Like, it might seem like kind of a silly tech, but I think for pure Snake Eye and where it's at right now, I think this is probably one of the better cards you could tech into it. Now, again, if I owned chicken games, I'd probably just slot those in, because that's just more deck thinning and, you know, adding, you know, materials for, again, stuff like Diabell or Ash or Oak. That's basically adding more of what you already want in the deck. Lullaby is useful in a lot of corner cases, but again, I think it's enough corner cases that it is worth exploring in pure Snake Eye. You'll note that I'm not on Jet Synchron or other synchros. Honestly, even before Ash got limited and wanted, I was already thinking that, like, yeah, the synchro engine is, I don't think, it for Snake Eye. That's why I thought it was really funny when Baron and Borload got banned in the TCG, and people were like, oh yeah, that super hurts Snake Eye's end board. What it actually ended up doing, in my opinion, is the TCG just optimized the Snake Eye list by getting people to get the synchros out in all links. And because the thing about synchros, and why even before Ash and Wanted got limited, I wasn't really a fan of them, is that in order to make, you know, Formula Synchron plays with Snake Eye, you have to either give up advantage by going out of your way to go into it, or what most often would happen is you would have to open, like, basically Diabell plus a starter, right? And that was, and also go uninterrupted. If you open Diabell plus a starter and go uninterrupted, that was your full Borload plus Baron end board, right? With the Flamberge and IP and all that stuff. But you know, with Ash at 1, with Wanted at 1, even to an extent with Bonfire at 2, a slight extent, that is a big ask. Like, it's already a big ask to open a 2-card combo and not get interrupted at all, but it's an even bigger ask to do that when a lot of the cards that you need to open are now limited or semi-limited in order to do that 2-card combo. So That's why I don't think Jet Synchron is it. Synchros in general are it at all for pure Snake Eye. Even with Borreload and Baron still being legal here. And I think that was even the case before Ash got limited and wanted. I still think that the all-link extra deck was, or maybe all links plus Baron in some cases was more optimal, but thought about taking 3 Lullaby of Obedience, but I also wanted to include Pot of Prosperity for sure to make sure we were able to dig to our plays consistently enough. That's also why I'm on 2 Original Sin. I'm not the biggest fan of it, but it's like, again, pure Snake Eye, you really got to take what you can get as far as like making plays and having follow-up, right? It's just having plays in general is much harder for this deck, but all the same, I will show you some replays in which we do some cool stuff. But before we get into those, let's break down this list card by card. We are on 3 Effect Veiler, 1 Snake Eye Ash, 1 Snake Eye Oak, 1 Snake Eye Birch, 3 Snake Eyes Poplar, 3 Max C, 3 Ash Blossom, A Joyous Spring, 3 Dia Bellstar, the Black Witch, 2 Snake Eyes Flamber Dragon, 1 Nibiru, the Primal Being, 2 Lullaby of Obedience, 1/1/4/1, 2 Triple Tactics Talent, 1 Pot of Prosperity, 1 Sinful Spoils of Subversion Snake Eye, 2 Bonfire, 2 Original Sinful Spoils Snake Eye, 1 Divine Temple of the Snake Eye, 2 Call by the Grave, 1 Cross that Designator, 1 Wanted Seeker of Sinful Spoils, and then 3 Infinite Permanents to round out our main. For the extra, we're on 1 Baron de Fleur, 1 Link Karibo, 1 Nightmare Phoenix, 1 Heat of the Fire Charmer Ablaze, 1 IP Masquerena, 1 Dark the Dark Charmer Gloomy, 1 SP Little Knight, 1 Celine, Queen of the Master Magicians, 1 Promethean Princess, Bestower of Flames, 1 Amphibious Swarmship Ambluale. This probably should have been a second Promethean Princess, to be honest. 1 Appaloosa Bow of the Goddess, 1 Axis Code Talker, 1 World Sea Dragon Zealantis, 1 Salman Great Raging Phoenix, and then finally 1 Underworld Goddess of the Closed World. That's going to do it for our list. Let's see some duels. Okay, I promised y'all a game where we're going to see some Lullaby of Obedience action, so I figure we'll just go ahead and start off with that one. Unfortunately, I just did not draw this card quite as much as I wanted to. But here, as you can see, we already have a starter and we already have Ash Blossom in hand. So, like I mentioned, this is going to be one of those situations where I'm going to do my combo line up to Promethean Princess and then steal their Max C. So, Ash for Poplar, Poplar for Temple. This is all pretty typical stuff so far. However, this I want to emphasize, because I don't know if I have in an actual pure Snake Eye deck profile. I'm sure I have at some point. But I still see people misplaying this, still to this day. So if you're in this situation where you lead a pure Snake Eye line with Snake Eye Ash for Poplar for a Temple, I would not place Flamberge with this. I still see almost, like, I don't want to say almost everyone, but still the majority of Snake Eye opponents who are on Temple will just place Flamberge in this situation. No, you want to place Oak. That way you can Ash away the Oak and then summon the Flamberge. Now you might be thinking, but Hex, don't you want to place Flamberge to play around Nib? You do want to play around Nib, but we're going to do that anyway, and we'll do it with Flamberge. Now, as you can see, we just linked off the Flamberge with the Poplar for IP. And we haven't used Poplar's Graveyard effect yet. So once IP is summoned, which, by the way, this is the 5th summon, we'll get to do Flamberge, Chainlink 1, Poplar, Chainlink 2. So you also chain block Flamberge this way. Place the Flamberge in the spell trap, and then summon out Oak and Ash. So now, even if your opponent nibs you, you can still summon the Flamberge from the spell trap with Temple. You also chain blocked your Flamberge summons, and all in all, this line just plays much more efficiently. This line also pulls both Flamberge out of your deck on turn 1, so you don't end up top decking it later when you don't want to. Alright, so here's our Promethean Princess, and like I said before, now I'm going to throw down Lullaby of Obedience, and I'm going to add their Max C to my hand. It's so gross. It's so good. Oh, good stuff. Yeah, we'll finish out here by going for the Raging Phoenix. Of course, placing the IP with the Flamberge. We did that already. And I'll set Cross out before passing back over to our opponent. So, obviously, we're in a really good situation here. We did our full turn 1 setup, and we have 3 extremely relevant hand trap cards in our hand. Alright, Dragon Shrine going to send the Dark Worm. Did I mention this is Endymion? I don't know if I actually did, but we're up against Endymion here. Was it Endymion or was it just regular Panda Magician? Either way, I guess we're going to find out. Gonna cross, or they're going to cross out the Max C, so yeah, not really much of an opportunity to actually use the one we stole from them, but still good stuff all the same. I'm gonna use my Divine Temple to pull out the other Flamberge here. This isn't a Endymion, what am I saying? This is Zark kind of Magician. But yeah, they get to add the Supreme King Gate Magician. Double Iris getting placed here, as well as the Wisdom Eye. Once Wisdom Eye comes down, I'm going to IP. Definitely going to go straight into SP. This is actually another pretty big misplay I see Snake Eye players making. Not just Pure, but also Fire King as well, where it's IP. Like, so many people misplay IP. It's kind of unreal. I've seen so many opponents who, as soon as they have the chance to on their turn, will immediately IP into Appaloosa, like right off the bat. And if you're doing that, you are just walking so hard in Triple Tactics talent, I don't even know what to tell you. But it's not even just Triple Tac, right? Like, Appaloosa, I feel, is actually fairly easy to play around. Like, it's very easy to manipulate how much attack this monster has, whether you can battle over it, and again, proccing it to steal it with Triple Tac, right, as well. Whereas SP has like immediate notable impact by banishing a card, can even be a spell or a trap card as we're about to do here, and still has the follow-up tag out effect, which can not only be used to disrupt your opponent, but also protect your own cards. I think that going for SP in general is often way better than going for an Appaloosa, but I still see people shotgunning IP the instant they're able to going into Appo, and I think that is a mistake. I genuinely think that most of the time that is a mistake. Even back, like, before Little Knight came out, like when I was playing in the Challenger Cups and topping with Pure Snake Eye, it was pretty rare that I would summon Appaloosa. I would, in that case, before SP, I would generally wait for the Underworld Goddess. The only situation in which I would summon Appaloosa is if I feel like I'm going to lose my board to like a Raigeki or something anyway, then linking it all away for an Appaloosa, like it's 4 mats and can't be destroyed by card effects, makes a lot more sense. Or if, again, it's a matchup slash board state where I know it's going to be better than SP, which there aren't really very many of those. Anyway, I'm going to negate the Gate Magician with the Ash Blossom, and my opponent just decided to concede here. I guess I didn't feel like playing through the rest of our setup, but as far as Disruption goes, we of course still have the SP on board, the Promethean Princess in the graveyard, and that Effect Veiler in our hand. I do think that was a little bit of an early concede. Like, I don't know, our opponent had so many bodies on the board, right? Like, that I feel like they should have been able to do something. Like, even moving to battle phase and threatening us that way, I feel would have been better than just conceding. But, yeah, to each their own, of course, as always, as ever. Yeah, let's go ahead and take a look at our next duel here. Alright, this person's on Rescue Ace, and I feel like I remember this being a pretty solid game, so let's go ahead and check this one out. Alright, looks like they are taking the first turn. Not ideal. Not against Rescue Ace. You definitely want to take the first move. We have Ash Blossom, which I would never use against Bonfire, that's for sure. The main reason I would never Ash a Bonfire is because you don't know if it's going to be Snake Eye or Rescue Ace, but also both decks have better Ash Blossom targets. Like, typically Original Sin, pretty much no matter what, is always a better Ash target, but if I knew it was Rescue Ace specifically, I would definitely prioritize Emergency a lot more. But I think either way, I will Ash Blossom the Original Sin here. I, in the past, have not been a fan of doing this, but as time goes on, I am. Like, in the past, I would save Ash for the Snake Eye Ash, but with that being at 1, it's so much less likely they're just going to drop it from their hand. Like, yeah, when Snake Eye Ash was at 3, I think ashing the Original Sin was almost always a mistake, because they could just normal summon the Snake Eye Ash, but that's so much less likely to happen here. Anyway, gonna lead with Prosp here, and I actually do manage to find a Poplar, which is nice because, like, yeah, I could have made plays with Diabell, but now I can special the Poplar and then still normal summon Oak later for follow-up, right? So, having a call by against the Max C here is pretty good too, of course. So, special summon the Poplar, Poplar F, I'm gonna grab the Divine Temple because I have Diabell in hand. I can use her to grab Original Sin if I need to. So, I'm gonna link off Poplar for the Link Karibo. Poplar effect, I'm actually gonna put the Ash Blossom in Spell Trap. That way I can normal summon Oak and then revive the Poplar. Now I can Oak F, send it and Ash Blossom. Opponent's going to use their own Ash Blossom to stop that, but As previously discussed, we definitely have follow-up. I also, now after I link away the Poplar for Hita, I'll now have 2 level 1 fires in my graveyard for the Flamberge that I can send away with the Diabell. Go ahead and special her. Flamberge F, of course, to bring back, and then I'll chain block with the Diabell F. I said Subversion here because I kind of felt like it didn't matter at this point. We have a ton of bodies on board, Divine Temple pumping up our stuff. Gonna go ahead and start to swing in for lethal. Even without the Poplar, it should still be... Oh. Yeah, so that was something I definitely forgot going into this game. I was like, oh yeah, Prosperity has a drawback. So, yeah, I'm not used to playing with Prosperity, so that's definitely the reason why I forgot there. Oops, but, you know, ooh, the Gamma. I actually forgot they had a Gamma, too. In spite of that, and also in spite of this Gamma, we are still going to be able to set up, a board that'll basically shut them out of a follow-up turn. Because I summoned a Gamma, I can use the Temple for Ash, and I'm going to Ash for Birch here, actually. I can then link off Diabell and Oak for the IP Masquerena, that way we can get that into the graveyard. Special to Birch, going to link off IP, Birch, and Poplar to make a 3-material Appaloosa, which, thanks to the IP, also cannot be destroyed by card effects. So, I'm going to use Snake-Eye Ash to send it with Temple to special Flamberge, and now I can use Flamberge to put the IP into my spell trap. So, yeah, I scuffed lethal here, but I think with Prosperity we're never going to find lethal anyway. So I think doing as... And I could have also done more damage, to be fair. I thought I was going in for lethal again. Just me misplaying and not remembering what Prosperity does. Oops, but... either way, we can now just set up a board here. Like, yeah, we have the Flamberge for the IP, for all that kind of follow-up. We also have a 3-mat Appo, which I know I just got done saying that, like, Appo isn't that impressive, but when your opponent only has 2 cards in hand, yeah, it actually becomes a lot more impressive, doesn't it? So, there is that. All right, we have, yep, one more game we're going to finish off with here, so let us do that. Okay, our final opponent is going to be on Adventure Horus Stun? It actually kind of, makes sense, though. Because, like, they're on Horus and, like, the Vandy's Rulers and, like, a couple of Floodgates, right? But I actually think it makes sense to lead with the Adventure stuff and then go into, like, your Stun stuff to have that Omni-Negate protection. Anyway, here we are going to lead... How do we lead? How do we find that Poplar there? Oh, it was with Bonfire. Oh yeah, I Bonfired for Poplar and not Ash here, because again, I actually opened my one of Oak. So, with this, I can still Original Sin for Snake-Eye Ash, right? And then I can use my normal summon for Oak instead. So, got the cross out for their C, which is very, very nice. Actually, opening Birch and Flamberge here was kind of unlucky, because... Like, my Snake-Eye Ash I'm about to special here doesn't really have... Like, you can grab another Poplar, but... I don't really need Poplar. I've already used literally all 3 of the effects, so I guess that's just going to be for follow-up, but... Get a special Birch before going for Flamberge. That way I can... set up the IP and all that stuff while still retaining my normal summon. Just in case they have something else, right? Bringing back Birch and Poplar off of Flamberge. Gonna then go for the Promethean Princess. And then we'll use Prom Princess to bring back who else but the Flamberge. I actually might not even end up needing Oak here. Flamberge place IP, link those 2 into Raging Phoenix, and that's pretty much it for the board, right? I can't really think of what Oak would let me add here. If I was playing, like, Pit Knight Airly, it would let me add that. Which I actually maybe should be doing, honestly. But anyway, during their draw phase, I'll pull out the IP. I do that during draw phase to play around Triple Tack. Evenly during the battle phase, not ideal, but also not the end of the world. It does get rid of the Raging Phoenix and IP. Gotta keep the Flamberge. They're gonna use the Field Spell for Imseti, and then trade in the Imseti to draw a couple of cards here. Okay, so that actually really confused me here. They set 1 and then passed. I guess to be fair, I actually do understand why they didn't summon Imseti. I was a little confused at first, but if you special Imseti, I just push it back with Flamberge here, and then now it's not only not protecting you on the field, but it's not in the graveyard to bring back either. Okay, so yeah, that does actually make sense why they would do that. Temple, not a horrible top deck. I could have just searched it with Poplar, but, you know. Alright, so Oak for Ash. Gonna use Ash effect here to add a Poplar. Oh, I forgot to put Kurikara in this deck. I just remembered that. No, that's not that big of a deal. Going forward, I'd probably play Kurikara. Honestly, maybe over... Well, not Prosperity. I think Prosperity is too important for pure snakes. Maybe over one of the Lullabies or something. Maybe you don't even need her, though. I don't know. And no, I think you do need her to just have other things to search. Anyway, I'm going to use the Nightmare Phoenix here to try to force the face down card, which actually ends up being super poly. Definitely not expected, but they end up fusing. I'm actually glad they didn't fuse away the Nightmare Phoenix, because it would have been slightly more difficult to, or slightly more awkward. Actually, it wouldn't have even really been more awkward to link climb without Nightmare Phoenix. Because you still have the Oak effect, I think? No, we used Oak this turn, right. But we do have Link Revo. Like, if I didn't have the Phoenix here, if I didn't still have it, I could have still, like, gone for Dark and then taken their Mseti and Link climbed that way. But yeah, now I have, like, far more than enough damage on board to finish off my opponent here. So we'll just go ahead and swing in. Alright, there we have it. That's going to be the end of these duels here. So, thank you so much for watching those games, and all the way to the end of the video. Always appreciate that. And, yeah, I think we'll just go ahead and move on now to our outro. Hey everybody, Hexlex here. Just want to give you a huge thanks for watching all the way to the very end of the video. Believe it or not, that is actually one of the best ways that you can support the channel, is by watching the videos in their entirety. But there are many ways in which you can support the channel if you are so interested. The names that you're seeing on screen here, I gotta give an extra special thanks to, because these are people who have chosen to either become a member on YouTube, which if you're interested you can do as well via the join button next to the subscribe button down there, or have signed up over on Patreon and become members there. Link to that is going to be in the description below. Without the support that is being offered by, again, all the people that you're seeing on screen right here, I would not be able to take the time to dedicate to uploading daily YouTube videos. So thank you so very much. But there are also other ways you can support as well. Again, link to the description below. If you like my deck tracker that you'll see in a lot of my videos, the Untapped Companion, you can download that for free, and if you use my affiliate link down there, then that also goes a long way towards supporting the channel. That's, again, free. So is subscribing here on YouTube. That's also free and a huge way to support. You can also check out Twitch, once again linked in the description below. Following and subscribing over there will not only support as well, but also give you notifications of when I go live if you want to catch some of the live streams. But really, no matter how you choose to support, it all adds up, and it all definitely means the world. So thank you, each and every one of you. For now, this is Hexlex. I'm going to be signing out. But more than that, I'm hoping that you have a fantastic day.